Ahoy everyone, Cat Goblin and Martin here, and in this video I'll be talking about every single enemy in Assassin's Creed Black Flag. Now Black Flag is the first Assassin's Creed game I ever played. I played this game to death on my Wii U and Xbox 360, and the game looks even better on PC. So I'll only be talking about the main enemies in the game, you know, the people you fight in hand-to-hand combat. All the cool ships and deadly predators will get their own dedicated review. And with all that said, let's get right into the review. Before we get into the enemy factions, I first have to talk about the common enemy units and of course AI behavior. The easiest unit is the basic soldier, or more like a swordsman. You can easily take this unit down with ease as they can't block or counter any of your attacks. Agiles, who are mostly portrayed as officers, are light infantry units. They carry a single knife and will block your attacks, so you'll have to break their defense or counter them. Agiles don't do too much damage, but they can hit you 3 times. They are extremely nimble and quick, as they can quickly climb up and down buildings. They are faster than you and will even tackle when close, though to avoid a tackle you can just jump like this. You mainly find them patrolling on the rooftops in urban areas, and yeah, they'll get mad if they catch you up there. Agiles are also a tough opponent for other enemies or your allies, as they can break an enemy's defense and can take down a huge number of guards alone. The brutes are the big guys with the axes. You'll have to dodge their large axe swings, as those do quite a bit of damage and then break their defense. They will throw grenades that could kill or knock you and anyone nearby back depending on how close you are to the blast. And just like Agiles, they can block. There is a way to counter their attacks, and that is if you go around a corner, the brute will swing his axe lightly, making you counter it. The brute is also the only enemy you can't bash into a wall or off a ledge. Marksmen carry muskets with a bayonet, and are stationed on rooftops and watchtowers. They can see farther than other units, and one shot from them can deal quite a bit of damage. It is said that the British reload faster, but in this game, every soldier reloads at the same speed, which is just a few seconds. In combat, they can hit you 3 times, dealing more damage than an Agile. Luckily, they have the strength as a basic swordsman, and they do have a target icon above. Usually in battle, a marksman will back up so that he can get a clear shot at you, and they never miss their target unless you throw a smoke bomb or use a nearby guard as a human shield. Some other interesting facts is that they can spot you easily when you're hiding in a bush. If you point your gun or blowpipe at them, they sort of panic before engaging you. And lastly, if they spot you hiding while they're up on a tower, they'll point their musket down until the search meter decreases. Then the final unit is the Captain, equipped with a sword. Captains can hit you 3 or 4 times, and each blow takes away a full bar of health. They can block your attacks, and if you try to break their defense, they'll just punch you right back. All you have to do to defeat them in combat is to counter their attack, and Edward will automatically kick them where it hurts, and then you can finish them off before they get back right up. Captains do use their flintlock on you at a distance, making them similar to a marksman, and while on patrol they always check hiding spots. Enemies have a suspicion meter, which is a circle above them. Upon seeing you, the circle increases with red, and after losing sight it turns yellow and decreases. If you let a guard see you longer, the circle meter will flash and they'll follow you. And when hiding in a stalking zone, you can whistle to lure a guard away from their post. Guards only give you a warning if they catch you in a restricted area, on the rooftops, on a ship, stealing, pointing your gun at someone, or shoving them. When enemies find a body, hear explosions or gunfire, they'll run to the scene and will investigate every hiding spot in the area. The yellow circle above them here is when they're investigating, and if they see you, they will immediately pull out their weapons and engage you in combat. They can even spot you when you're on the high ground. Guards will also engage you if they spot you looting and carrying a body or a powder keg. Soldiers and Agiles do carry flintlocks, which they'll use if you're climbing up walls or trees. And if a marksman loses his musket, he'll throw rocks at you. With marksmen and captains aiming at you, you can use a nearby guard as a human shield, and when you're on the roof, enemy units will climb up after you, but most prefer to climb up ladders. When an enemy is put to sleep, another guard will wake him up, and sometimes when the sleeper wakes up, they'll investigate. If you beat up an enemy, they'll just squirm around the ground all wounded and will never get back up. You can even kick them again, which kills them. Sort of. When an alarm bell is in an area, a soldier, agile, or captain will rush to the bell, alerting everyone, as well as spawning in reinforcements if they hear gunfire, see a body, or catch you snooping. Something you need to watch out for are restricted areas, which are highlighted red on your minimap. Obviously, when you're in here, enemies will not tolerate your presence. Speaking of the minimap, enemies are a red arrow, and marksmen also have their own unique arrow with a target icon. Enemies that are guarding will have their arms crossed. When you approach them, they'll tell you to scram, and they'll get mad at you if you try to pass them or sneak up from behind. Obviously, enemies can die if they fall from high heights. Now, Black Flag is also the first Assassin's Creed game where enemies and people can swim in water. Although if they stay in the water for too long, they'll drown. Using a sleep dart on a guy in water will drown him, and when you come close to a guard, they'll shove you away. The minimap and your assassin icon will tell you if you're in combat by having it red. When you're escaping, nearby guards will quickly line up waving their swords or putting their hands out to cut you off, and if you go near them, you'll get knocked back. Combat is very simple. Before an enemy attacks, you can see this red circle with an exclamation sign giving you the cue to counter. Then from here you can kill, throw, disarm, and use a gun, rope dart, or throwing knife. Sometimes in combat, two enemies can attack you at the same time, and if you counter it, you get a double kill, which is pretty cool to watch. This only applies to soldiers, agiles, and marksmen. Enemies can also grab you from behind, and when that happens, you just counter it, which makes you flip them over. Another interesting thing is that when enemies hear gunfire or an explosion from one of their comrades at a certain distance, the guard will just stand there holding his hand by his side with his weapon out, and will immediately attack you if he spots you. With Eagle Vision, enemies are highlighted red, while important targets are highlighted orange. A body that has reals will be highlighted white, and of course you can carry and throw them. When looting any of these enemy in its pockets, you can get some reals and ammunition if you're low. Enemies can carry up to 15 reals, however the Agile on the other hand can carry up to 25 reals, which makes them the richest enemy. They're even richer than a high-ranking captain. I bet he steals those reals. Also in combat, enemies can only carry the weapon they're supposed to have. In past games, if a soldier loses his sword, he could just pick up a nearby musket or axe, but in this game they don't do that. Instead, they'll try to punch you. Speaking of punching, you should never try to directly punch a captain, brute, or agile. Otherwise, you'll get served. Another thing that's weird is that if you make an enemy mad, escape them, and then come back, they won't recognize you. Yeah, kinda weird, but this is Assassin's Creed logic we're talking about. If this game was like the new Hitman trilogy, it would be slightly harder. So, our first faction is the Spanish Empire. The Spanish soldiers wear yellow coats and are the main bad guys you fight against because, you know, the Templar Grand Master in the West Indies is a Spanish governor, and he has all the resources of the Empire. You encounter the Spanish in Havana and at the plantation in Matanzas, but you can also sometimes find them on a few islands, and you also briefly fight them in these places too. Of course, they do appear in some fishing villages during contracts, and obviously, you can find a Spanish soldier on a Spanish ship or in a fort. Next is of course the British Army, and yes, they are technically the first enemies you fight when starting the game, as they briefly appear in Cape Bonavista. The British soldiers sport some red coats, which they are well known for, and the captains wear dark blue. They just overall look cool, which is why they're my favorites. Anyways, you can spot them in Nassau, Kingston, Isla Providencia, Black Island, Marijuana, North Carolina, and Charlestown. Oh yeah, they also own like a ton of plantations. The British also sometimes appear in the same little islands that the Spanish can be found on, and because of that you can spot both of them duking it out, and it's pretty awesome to watch. During certain contracts they can appear at some fishing villages, and you briefly meet them in Tulum and Principe. Are you running low on ammunition and don't want to spend a whole lot of reals? Well, have no fear, because Courier has got you covered in Havana, Nassau, and Kingston. So if you're low on ammunition, this guy will spawn in. He has his own unique box icon on the minimap, and when you're near him, he'll immediately book it. That's pretty much it, he just runs away from you. To get his sweet loot, you can kill or tackle him, though tackling him actually injures him. And yeah, you get the maxed out ammunition plus some pocket money. Couriers can carry up to 250 reals. The only way to fight them in combat is to use a berserk dart. They're just like an agile, which explains their speed, but being berserk means they do more damage.
Don't hurt me, Master Kenway, please, no! That's straight Captain Kenway! Shit!
Third major faction are the pirates, smugglers, thieves, thugs, pirate hunters, spies, and Captain Robert's crew. So depending on what mission you play, they go by different titles and allegiances, and these guys are actually found in almost every location. Well, you can find them in the smuggler dens, Nassau briefly, Principe, onboard pirate hunter ships and civilian fishing boats, that spot where the Portuguese stopped by, Mystery and Sacrifice Island, and in 3 fishing villages with a manuscript. But you see, in all the fishing villages in 3 major cities, they hog taverns, and you beat them up to unlock it. Plus, there's also assassin contracts. The pirates wear darker colored outfits so that you can tell they're enemies. This faction is also pretty diverse, as you can spot African Americans among the ranks, which is pretty accurate to the golden age of piracy. The Agiles even wear different clothes and hats. On top of that, these pirates will attack British and Spanish soldiers. When you first arrive in Havana, you follow Stede Bonnet to a Spanish tavern, and all of a sudden this war veteran and his cronies start to attack you. So now we have an epic bar fight. The thugs aren't very difficult, they're like super easy to take out. The fight is actually a combat tutorial, and later in the fight some of those pirate guys join in to fight you.
You want a dust up? I'll give you one. Come on, lads. I've seen bigger arms on a bird.
The Assassins are one faction you briefly fight in Havana and Tulum. During your first encounter, you'll fight Assassin Swordsmen and Agiles, but you'll also spot these guys with blowpipes on the rooftops, trying to kill Governor Torres. If you go near the blowpipe assassins, they'll usually lose the thing and will try to punch you, although sometimes they don't lose it and the blowpipe is really OP. They shoot you with impact darts that take away so much health, so you better take these guys down quickly. When you travel to Tulum, you can't really fight or kill them because then you'll get desynchronized. Anyways, the level's full of Agiles, except this time you can spot female assassins that all look different. Plus they have a sniper near the end, and just want to say that it's perfectly okay to knock her off the ruin.
Don't expect mercy. Watch the streets and alleys. They don't see anywhere.
Up next is the Portuguese army, who you only fight in Principe during Sequence 9 Memory 2, and along this strait in Sequence 10 Memory 1. Now looking at the Portuguese, they're just wearing the same uniforms as the Spanish, but in blue. The Portuguese are my second favorite civilization, and it's too bad we don't see enough of them. Like, wouldn't it be cool to see a few Portuguese ships sailing in the West Indies? If that happened, I bet they would attack the Spanish side by side with the British. Throughout the West Indies, you can find many plantations, and looting them gives you a ton of resources, which you can use for your ship. But the question is, how do you break into the warehouse? Well, you're gonna need to find the key holder, which is an ordinary enemy. Depending on the plantation, he can be a soldier, agile, or a captain. To locate the key holder, you just use Eagle Vision and his icon will pop out on the minimap. He does not attack you, instead he'll run away if he spots you, and will crouch in a bush. It's pretty funny. I mean, you could use a Berserk Dart on him. Another obscure enemy that doesn't attack you is the Fort Commander. So after you take out all the fort's defenses, you have to infiltrate it and eliminate a few of the commanding officers. Once that's done, you bust open these doors to find the Fort Commander with his hands up. Yeah, he just sort of stands there. He does have a sword, flintlock, and rials. Also, Berserk Darts don't work on him, and when you kill him, the fort is basically yours. Spanish commanders wear white, and the British ones of course wear red. In one of the forts, I was actually able to get some marksmen to chase me to the commander. Though the commander doesn't fight, he will punch you if you try to break his defense. Next is the Guardians, only found in Long Bay, Jamaica. These guys have been tasked to protect the observatory from any outsiders. They also might be related to the Taino since they are in Jamaica, according to the database. There are two types of Guardians. First is the one with the target icon. These are the guys that hide in the bush, and from time to time they'll pop out to shoot an impact dart at you, which does a lot of damage. If you go near them, they'll try to attack you, but since they have the same behavior as a marksman, they'll back up and try to shoot you. Surprisingly, you can use them as a human shield when one tries to shoot you. Then the second one does have a blowpipe, but will only use it if you climb up trees. The Guardians are equipped with knives like Agiles, except for that they can't block. Oh, and when you have the Mayan armor on, their impact darts are completely useless. The Templar Hunt side mission in Nassau is one of my favorite side missions to play. The main bad guys you fight are smugglers, but play this side mission during or after sequence 7 and the smugglers are now disguised as British redcoats. I actually made a video about this small little discovery. So yeah, the smugglers look like the British, they will attack the real British soldiers in combat, and in my clips I also activated an assassin contract to show these guys side by side with regular smugglers. It's a weird little discovery, but I think it's pretty cool. You know how in most of the cutscenes you see the soldiers hold muskets, but you never see them with that weapon in game? Okay, in one mission and on the ships, the enemies all have muskets, but they're either killed or they drop them. Well, if we go to Charlestown, you can fight a British soldier with a musket. He's basically a swordsman minus the sword and flintlock. He'll even shoot you if you climb up walls. If you disarm him, he'll only grab a nearby sword, but for some reason, instead of throwing a rock at me, he threw a sword. You can also see more of these guys during the chase segment, and I was actually able to fight them by getting the captain stuck. So what you want to do is reload the last checkpoint during the chase, shoot the captain with the common flintlock, and run ahead of him. When you get to this part, the planks will blow up, then the captain will get stuck in the water, and you can then fight the guys with the guns. Strangely enough, if you get past the gate, all the soldiers will stop attacking you, which is weird. Thought I might add this one in. Go into the cheats menu and activate Shiver Me Timbers. Then when you meet an enemy, they'll look like this. So the cheat turns all the enemies, well almost all of them, into Scarecrow Rabbids. You know, the Rabbids from Rayman Raving Rabbids, one of Ubisoft's other games. It's a cool and funny cheat to unlock. Havana's Templar Hunt side mission has one enemy in mission, a thief in the market, and it's a pickpocket. So the thief will steal this ledger and run away. When the game tells you to kill the pickpocket, he can attack you after you stole the ledger. You can even use berserk darts too. He's pretty easy to take out, but get this, he will pick up a nearby sword on the ground to take you down. Our final enemy is Alvin. The second mission of Opia's Templar Hunt, Templar Ships, has you eavesdropping on these villagers. By the end, you have to steal a ledger from this guy named Alvin. He'll engage you in a fist fight, and that's pretty much it. Just like the pickpocket, he can look different, and it's kinda weird how you can just kill him without consequence.
Listen to what he's telling you. Let me out of...
So everyone, there you have it. Those were all the enemies in Assassin's Creed Black Flag. Black Flag is one game that I will always cherish, and talking about all the enemies is something that I always wanted to do. Eventually I'll review the ships and animals, but I'll probably make that a combined video with AC3 and Rogue. Also, Black Flag has some more enemies with its 2 DLC, the Avalon DLC and Freedom Cry, so expect an enemy review for that coming very soon. Anyways, hope you all enjoyed, please like and subscribe, and as always, I'll see you guys in the next review.